Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Full Stream Ahead. My name's Jamie, this is Jan, and together we are the crime-fighting duo that Gotham needs but doesn't deserve. Welcome back. Hope you've all had a great 2 weeks. This week we've got some amazing music and chat from Katherine Aitken, mezzo-soprano, Felix Kemp, baritone, and Julia Sitkovetsky, soprano, who are all waiting and making silly faces at both me and Jan on the Skype chat that you can't see, and that's the magic of television. So, hello, Jan.
Hello.
Hello.
I've got some parish notices for everyone before we launch into something that's much more interesting than my voice. So note number one is that we would now like to invite people to collaborate on this platform. We've been using my back catalogue so far, but this is the first stream where we won't do that for all of our performers.
Ooh.
So if you have some pre-recorded material, or if you have a program in mind that you'd like to stream, get in touch with us. We know some venues who could host us. We'd love to keep presenting young performers to the wider world. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us via our Facebook page or any other social media. We want you on this show. And that brings me to note number two, which is we want to keep making this show. And we would also love to be able to subsidize recording projects for this stream and the costs of live streaming concerts for our artists. And we'd like to use our Patreon to do it. So if you go to patreon.com/fullstreamahead and subscribe, it costs as little as £2 a month, plus VAT. You can give more if you want. We will use the money raised to subsidize and give discounts for the creation of new content for up-and-coming artists. You know, individual performers still aren't getting the support they need, so your help can really change that and arm them with demo recordings or the chance to live stream a recital, for example. So if you can help, please do. We'd be so grateful.
Absolutely. And look, no one's been allowed to go get posh coffees for weeks. And that's like less for a month. That's like one posh coffee that you've not been allowed to get. So we know you've got it.
Yeah.
We know you've got it going. So help out a load of fantastic young performers create new content and create new musical memories. What a phrase. And with that, shall we make some as well? Let's have a first set of music. Enjoy.
Yay.
Non so più cosa sono, cosa faccio, ogni fuoco ne sono, ghiaccio, ogni donna che giardi colora, ogni donna mi fa palpitar, ogni donna mi fa palpitar, ogni donna mi fa palpitar. Solo ai nomi d'amor diletto, e se turba mi sacra petto, e a ballare mi sforza d'amore. Un desio che io non posso spiegar, un desio che io non posso spiegar. Non so più cosa sono, cosa faccio, or di fuoco ne sono il ghiaccio, ogni donna che giardi colora, ogni donna mi fa palpitar, ogni donna mi fa palpitar, ogni donna mi fa palpitar. Parlo d'amor vegliando, parlo d'amor sognando, all'acqua l'ombra ai monti, ai fiori alle mie fonti, all'acqua l'aria ai venti, che suon di ragni accenti portano via con sé. Portano via con sé. Parlo d'amor vegliando, parlo d'amor sognando, all'acqua all'ombre, ai monti ai fiori, all'erbe, ai fonti, all'acqua all'aria ai venti. Che suon di ragni accenti portano via con sé. Portano via con sé. E se non ho chi moda, e se non ho chi moda, parlo d'amor con me, parlo d'amor con me.
And here she is with us, Katherine Aitken, everybody. Bravo. Or brava, rather. I'm not Italian. I can't really speak Italian. It's fine. It's not a problem. Hello, how are you? Welcome.
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. So I hear you're in sunny Scotland at the moment.
Sunny Edinburgh, yeah. Actually, literally sunny Edinburgh, which is, always a rarity.
Truly, the angels looking down upon you.
It really is.
And so, what's it like at Edinburgh at the moment? Because of course, it's supposed to be the Fringe at the moment.
Yeah, so we're meant to be going into the Fringe and the festival in August, but not this year. So it's kind of bizarrely quiet.
It's the perfect time to go visit.
Yeah, it's kind of odd. It doesn't feel like July.
No.
Like we should be hyping up now. But no, we're not there. So it will be a very odd August this year.
Yeah. But I imagine also at the same time, because we all love to complain, but sure there's a little part of everyone that's going, oh, we finally get like a nice quiet summer.
That's true, but now we'll complain because there's not any tourists here. So it's that double standard, isn't it?
As well.
Complain when they're here, complain when they're not.
Well, it's just clearly we just all love to complain about it. We'll never be happy. And that's the end of the stream. Thank you for coming. No. So what have you been doing during lockdown? What sort of fantastical things have you discovered about yourself? Any like new hobbies or?
I've actually taken to yoga.
Ooh, you're a yogi bear. Very good.
Bear.
Have you been doing one of those like courses, like sort of YouTube courses or something?
I'm a big fan of Yoga with Adrian.
Nice. Whoop whoop.
Praise. Whoop whoop. So been doing lots of yoga. And other than that, just completed Netflix.
Completed it. Congratulations. What comes at the end? Is there like a final boss level or something?
There is. Yeah. I won't tell you much.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
No spoilers. But yeah, just kind of like everybody, just trying to keep busy, and but it's yeah. Have you found yourself doing much singing practice? Because I realised the other day I have not sung a note for like 4 months. Not at all.
It's been amazing. I like as much as I really want to go back to singing with people and go back to work. A little part of me is kind of like, I'm really enjoying not having to do it because of work, and just if I do it, I'm doing it for my own, for myself.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was quite lucky, in that for the first month or so of lockdown, I still had one contract clinging desperately. So I was lucky then to kind of be having to learn that, so it kind of kept me going. But since that panned. Yeah,
but not so much. Yeah, but of course, we've had some recent good news in terms of some financial assistance from the government, which is fantastic news. So I think now people are starting to look ahead to projects that they can do. So are there any sort of projects on the line that you've been seeing in the middle distance and finally go, yes, okay, they might be going on?
Yeah, so I've got a very exciting project coming up with Opera Sunderland, which is a bit up in the air at the moment, because they're wanting to do some very exciting things, exploring new formats and how we approach opera, which I can't really talk about. But it's a really, really cool piece. It's a brand new commission called The Soldier's Return, and it is a kind of sister piece, pairing it with A Soldier's Tale by Stravinsky. And it's, as I said, brand new. It's been written by Marcus Fernandez Barrera, and Jacob Polly has done the libretto. And it's just a really cool, real project. Jacob went out and spoke to a whole load of veterans, of retired veterans and current veterans, and current people serving, in the armed forces. And he did a series of interviews with them. And from those interviews, he has compiled this story. And it looks at kind of PTSD, essentially, and how people are when they come back from war, and how really people don't return from war. And looking at how we all think that we would know what that would feel like, but actually you don't know until you're in it. So it's just a really real, really kind of, exciting thing to do. And in obviously quite a kind of bleak way, exciting. If not, it's just real. So
I feel it's one of those shows that you can kind of really feel like, even just hearing about what it's the premise and what it's about, you sort of know that it's going to make a difference, that it's going to tell a story that needs airing.
Exactly. It's a real story. We're not talking about gods and abstract stuff.
Yeah.
It's things that affect real people. And what's really lovely about it as well is that they do a lot of work within the community. So there's a big chorus in it, community chorus. So not only are we hopefully bringing a story that affects real people that will be in the audience, but it also is bringing people into the production that may not have the access to opera as we do, and may not feel that opera is necessarily for them. It's a kind of gateway in, and I think that's a really cool thing, and something we really should be looking at doing more now that we've got almost a clean slate within our industry. It's a real opportunity now for us to bring new blood in, either in to come and sing or to get new bums on seats. It's just a really cool, it's going to be a really cool project. So fingers crossed.
Oh yeah, absolutely, everything crossed. As you say, I think it's such an exciting time for the arts, because as you say, like there is a bit of a clean slate. You know, we've had this really long period of nothing going on, and I know for a fact there's so many conversations going on and so many exciting ideas. You know, with the closing down of the theatre, or the not the closing down, but the closing of the doors on the theatres, all these companies are having to come up with brand new ways of developing their audiences, developing their projects, and doing them in different ways. I think that's hugely exciting. I think we're going to end up with such a stronger community and art form,
and finding new ways of doing it. Just, you know, the opera doesn't necessarily have to be on a stage in a theatre. We, you know, can start to pull it apart a little bit and, you know, explore new ways of this art form going forward, because really without investigating these things, without getting new blood in to the houses, it will die. So now is the time to do it. Now's
definitely the time to take a risk.
Silver lining.
Yeah, well, actually, that's it.
So yeah.
Well, that sounds awesome. So Opera Sunderland.
Opera Sunderland.
Fantastic.
So if anyone is looking for information, keep eyes posted at www.operasunderland.co.uk.
Look at that.
For more information there in the next few weeks.
Gosh, I'll be checking that out. I'll be keeping an eye on that. Well, thanks very much for hanging out with us, Katherine. I really appreciate your time. And hopefully you'll stick around a little bit, and we'll have a little drink afterwards and things like that, you know, just like we would do normally. Just like normal. Everything's fine. There we go. Beautiful. Well, thanks very much. And we're going to hear, I think, one more aria from you before we move on to our next guest, Felix Kemp, who I've only just met, and he's a lovely gentleman. I'm looking forward to hearing him sing. Here we go. Let's move. Ah!
Ich lade gern mir Gäste ein, mein lebt bei mir recht fein. Man unterhält sich, wie man mag, oft bis zum hellen Tag. Zwar langweile ich mich stets dabei, was man auch treibt und spricht. Indes, was mehr als nicht steht frei, tut ich bei Gästen nicht. Und sehe ich es nicht, sich jemand hier bei mir, so pack ich ihn ganz ungeniert, wer ihn hinaus sollt ihr. So pack ich ihn ganz ungeniert, wer ihn hinaus sollt ihr. Und fragen Sie, ich bitte, warum ich das denn tu? Warum ich das denn tu? Siehst mal bei mir, so sitte, chacun son goût. Siehst mal bei mir, so sitte, chacun son goût. Wenn ich mit andern sitzt beim Wein und Flasch leer, muss jeder mit mir durstig sein, sonst werde grob ich sehr. Und schenke Glas um Glas ich ein, tut ich nicht Widerspruch. Mich leiden kann ich's, wenn sie schreien, ich will nicht hab genug. Wer mir beim Trinken nicht pariert, sich zehret wie ein Tropf, dem werfe ich ganz ungeniert die Flasche an den Kopf. Dem werfe ich ganz ungeniert die Flasche an den Kopf. Und fragen Sie, ich bitte, warum ich das denn tu? Warum ich das denn tu? Siehst mal bei mir, so sitte, chacun son goût. Siehst mal bei mir, so sitte, chacun son goût.
Seagulls cry.
And joining us from Italy, Felix Kemp, everyone. Bravo! Woo!
Oh, thank you.
You sang one of my favourite songs of all time, Sea Fever. Is it one of your favourites?
It was. I think I haven't sung it in a while, but it's it's an amazing song, and it's got kind of everything in it. And I thought it would be a nice choice for today because it's about incarceration. And in some way, the guy that's singing it, or whoever this character is, you get the sense they've had a long life or something, and they miss doing something that they can't do in this moment. A longing to be somewhere else, or
how familiar,
right?
And it's really nice that you chose that one because that was filmed at Songhaven, which is an absolutely amazing initiative that a friend of ours runs, Viv Conrad. Do you want to tell us a bit about Songhaven, Felix?
Yeah, Songhaven is a beautiful initiative for audiences, dementia-friendly audiences, and it's a professional setting, but it's informal, and the audience are invited to sing along, whistle, clap, do whatever they like, just to enjoy themselves. The concerts aren't too long, and they're free, and free to attend, and they get tea and cake afterwards. It's a real day out and event, and some of them, I've had experiences singing for them that are so moving because you see in front of you a receptive audience and how much they love it and how much joy it brings them. It's a really beautiful thing. I've been very grateful to be part of.
And what's wonderful is that even in lockdown, Songhaven has still kept going, and they're reaching their audience through the magic of live streaming and YouTube and all that, because obviously those vulnerable audiences have been the hardest hit by all of this. So it's great that there are people out there who are working hard to make sure that music reaches them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I remember, one of my favourite comments, it makes you quite emotional, but a lady came up to us, myself and Charlie Drummond, the soprano, we just sung for them, and she said, I think she joined a choir recently, and she said, I thought that my musical life was over, but today, these sorts of concerts, she said, I know that it's not, and it gives a lot of hope to a lot of people.
Yeah. And you then chose something that is thoroughly depressing for your second piece tonight, but luckily then you added a number from the same oratorio that sort of lifts it up a bit.
Exactly. This is sorry.
No.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Howard Goodall's Requiem, Eternal Light. That was from Bath Abbey, and the first song that you heard has this. Asking these questions, someone who's grieving and is at a loss and a sort of crisis and questioning their faith and a sense of meaning in their lives, which is then answered by the second one, which is almost as if a voice from beyond the grave saying, don't be sad, don't cry. I'm still in everything around you, in all the beauty of life, and you carry me with you about your daily life. And
you've brought a full orchestra to our little live stream here,
that was the Southern Sinfonia and Francis Faux conducting, and Lucis Choir. They had a sort of augmented choir for that. It was a concert for Remembrance Sunday back in 2018. So,
do you prefer intimate chamber music making, or do you prefer having that full body of sound supporting you from an orchestra and a choir?
I love both. I mean, I love song and singing songs, English song, especially in Lieder. But there is something that I really do enjoy about concert work. I mean, as a baritone, I feel like the choral society repertoire that we get to sing is just some of the best solos written for baritones. And I don't know, I'm also comforted by having my music in front of me, so I feel like I can be even more expressive and not worried that I'm going to forget anything, words.
So you don't feel that gets in the way of your expression, that you're sort of singing into just well, they're not blank pages because otherwise they'd be useless. But you don't treat it as a barrier.
No, I think it liberates me in some senses. But I mean, to perform in spaces like that was Bath Abbey with this incredible acoustic, it's, yeah, you feel like a very small pin in a cog, you know, in a much larger machine. And when you have a wall of sound like a choir behind you, it's the most amazing thing. And for those experiences, I've been, you know, I'm so grateful, and can't wait to get back to, really. I mean, scary time for choirs and choral singing.
Yeah, but again, people are being really inventive. They're doing rehearsals over Zoom. They're recording stuff. I mean, if there's one thing that this time has proven, it's that there is no putting a stop to music. Like, people are still going to keep making music, and that, I take comfort in that.
And in some ways, an even greater need for it now more than ever.
Can you imagine like what that first oratorio gig is going to be like when there's an orchestra and a choir and you're there? I mean, I get teary at them when it's normal times. I can't imagine what that's going to be like.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that.
Now, I don't know how many people had joined us for the countdown, but we were listening to a CD that you've got out. Not just you. It is a slightly bigger work than just Felix Kemp. But tell us about it.
Yes, this is a piece called Fête Galante by Dame Ethel Smythe, written in the 1920s. And it's really beautiful. A lot of people might know Ethel Smythe's music as being, you know, quite modern, but this is really, really attractive. And I mean, not that modern's not attractive, but it's my first introduction to her music, and it was a really beautiful thing to get to sing. So this is, yeah, and I was singing Piero, who is pretty miserable, and that was with. On Retrospect, they were the record label, and the Ensembles Lontano, conducted by Odeline de la Martinez.
Mm-hmm. Now, just to reassure everyone that you don't just do miserable repertoire, the next two pieces that we're going to hear now are from another enterprise that is run by a friend of ours, Lizzie Holmes, and Debut, which is sort of catering to, again, not what you would think is the classical music audience, but it's the hipsters, isn't it? No, it's young, vibrant audiences, and it all happens in no, it doesn't all happen in Shoreditch, but a lot of it happens in Shoreditch. So tell us a tiny bit about the two things we're going to hear now, because they're a fair bit more jolly.
Sure. Yeah, no, I was just going to quickly mention that Shoreditch Treehouse, this incredible venue in near Old Street in London, that Debut has a lot of its concerts, is an amazing space for song. I mean, you can imagine Schubert would have been happy having audiences sitting around, lying on the floor. And actually, we also had the chance to perform at the Crush Room at the Royal Opera House earlier this year with Debut as well, which was an amazing thing.
This is the time for your clang, by the way, because we're very lucky to have Felix, but he wasn't supposed to be here. Where were you supposed to be, Felix?
I should have been in London, and last week making my debut in Don Carlo at the Royal Opera House as one of the Flemish deputies, but not to be, not for now.
Yes, it will come, but the Opera House's loss is our gain, and England's loss is Italy's gain. But for now, two more, slightly more upbeat numbers from Felix, and then on to our last guest. Thanks for joining us, Felix.
When I have sung my songs to you, I'll sing no more. that I could never sing again, that I could never sing again, except to you.
Should we? Should we have a beer now?
Would you like a
The
beer?
beer would help the song and some.
Oh, some are fond of red wine, and some are fond of white, and some are all for dancing by the pale moonlight. But rum alone's the tipple and the heart's delight of the old mates of Henry Morgan. Oh, some are fond of Spanish wine, and some are fond of French, and some will swallow tea and stuff it only for a wench. But I'm for right Jamaica till I roll beneath the bench, says the old mate of Henry Morgan. Oh, some are for the lily, and some are for the rose, but I am for the sugar cane that in Jamaica grows, for it's that makes the bonny drink to warm my copper nose, says the old mate of Henry Morgan. Fond of fiddles and a song well sung, and some are all for music full to lilt upon the tongue. But mouths are made for tankards and for sucking at the bung, says the old mate of Henry Morgan. Oh, some that's good and godly ones, they hold that it's a sin to troll the Johnny Bowl around and let the dollar spin. But I'm for toleration and for drinking at an inn, says the old mate of Henry Morgan.
ich die Menschen meinetwillen umgebracht habe, so setzt das meinen Wert nicht herab. Du hast so gut gewusst, weswegen du mich zur Frau nahmst. Wer ich gewusst habe, weswegen ich dich zum Mann nahm. Du hattest deine besten Freunde mit mir betrogen. Du konntest nicht gut auch noch dich selber mit mir betrügen. Wenn du mir deinen Lebensabend zum Opfer bringst, so hast du meine ganze Jugend dafür gehabt. Ich habe nie in der Welt etwas anderes scheinen wollen, als wofür man mich genommen hat. Man hat mich nie in der Welt für etwas anderes als was ich bin.
And here they all are. Bravo, Julia. We're at Julia Sitkovetsky and Spike the Cat. Hello, Spike the Cat. How are you? Very calm. There he goes. Well, thanks very much for hanging out with us and joining us here on the stream. We appreciate you taking the time out of what is very busy schedules for all of us, of course. Ooh. That's okay. You'll be singing it in a few minutes anyway, so don't worry about it. Hmm. I mean, the launch event is a rather sort of quite an old-fashioned thing nowadays, isn't it? You don't really get the sort of the launch event anymore, which I think is a bit of a shame. I sort of want to go to those big house parties where everyone sort of forgets why they're there, and everyone gets really drunk and there's loads of food, and then everyone runs away with a free CD at the end of it. It's great. Those I want those back. The difficult second album will be there at the party. Ooh.
It's an interesting.
Apparently, my microphone is off.
Yeah, it was, but it's not now.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
As I say, Julia,
Thanks for telling me.
But what happens, right? Every single stream that I do, I mess up one thing, and it's always on the very last thing. So that's how you know it's live, because I mess up something. Anyway, so I know.
Why do you always mess up my stuff?
I know. Well, listen, I think what I'll say is I'll quickly run down what we talked about. Jan and Julia were hilarious. I ruined all their jokes, and you would have been much happier about the fact that you would have been much happier that you missed it.
Apparently, they can't hear me.
No, it's fine. It's fine. They couldn't hear either of you. They could hear everything I was saying, but just nothing that you guys were saying.
Okay, it's all fine, apparently.
So that's fine. I'm glad you all had a nice time. Thanks for coming on, Julia. Take care. All the best. Take care. Bye. No, I'm checking. So basically what happened, everybody, is that I messed up, as usual. It's very much in keeping with me. We're resetting the conversation timer, and we're starting again. We're talking about the Rachmaninoff songs CD that Julia recorded last year and was released in, what was it, recently? Or no, you recorded it in
May.
In May, and you had a Wigmore Hall recital in February with Roger.
Yes.
There we go. See?
Yes,
You're all caught up.
We released it 1st of May, and we did a Wigmore Hall recital in February, end of February, and so we were happy. So we were happy that we got some kind of launch recital, even though it wasn't necessarily a launch recital. But yes, and then I believe Jan was asking me about the Berg,
Yes.
and the Berg that was just played, and because I do get asked a lot in auditions to sing it, even along with my other rep like Queen of the Night or Traviata or stuff like that. I think firstly because musically it's very, very different from the Mozart and Verdi that I present, and it's not necessarily something that people present a lot, and so it's technically very difficult. So that I think people would want to hear if you can manage it, but also character-wise, it's really, really interesting because Lulu as a character is always trying to, be whatever her suitor wants her to be. So in a way, she almost has no real character. But in this aria, this is the one time when she's actually saying what her worth is. And I think people are often interested to see just, when you're given like these 3 minutes, let's see what you can do. And I think, contrasting with something like Queen of the Night, which is very, very clear what her motive is in that, I think, there's a bit more ambiguity. So that's why. But I just think they like to be mean,
Well, to be fair, you bring it on yourself. If you're going to offer something that difficult, I have very little sympathy for you, really.
That's fine. I appreciate that.
What kind of characters is Lulu something that you'd quite like to play, just for that reason that there is so many ways? There are so many ways to approach it, or do you prefer the clear-cut, murderous / mad scene / it madly in love? Do you prefer those?
Well, the thing is, even in those ones that are very clear cut, there's so many layers to it. So for example, in the Bellini in I Puritani, I mean, the story is very kind of flimsy of I Puritani, but because of that, you actually have a lot of freedom in how you might portray Elvira. Is she maybe suffering from bipolar disorder, but perhaps because at the time they didn't know what bipolar disorder is, because she comes in and out of these episodes. So that's kind of how I like to think of her.
Mm-hmm.
going mad in the way that Lucia goes mad, that she just kind of comes in and out of these kind of moments where she can't deal with things. So in a way, yes, Lulu in the libretto and in the really rich story gives you sort of more to work with. But I actually find when they kind of give you these sort of, okay, she's mad here, or she's not mad, or she's angry, or whatever, I actually find that there's a lot more you as an actor could bring individually. You know, even in Queen of the Night, which is very kind of clear cut, is she more of a murderous, scheming queen? Is she more of an emotional, just wants to protect her daughter type of person? Is her anger cold? Is her anger hot? Like, there are so many different ways you can take it. So I'm quite lucky in that my roles allow me to explore many different types of human behavior.
Do you find, because you've done Queen of the Night on stage in one or two productions, do you find that those choices are made for you, or is it a dialogue with the director?
It's kind of both. I mean, so the one that I did in Dresden this past season was a very old production. So with a revival in that way, you don't get a chance really to have a dialogue with the director. But that one, for example, was very pantomime and very sort of choreographed. So that was very obvious in what I had to do. With the Scottish Opera one, that was, Tom Allen was there, and we really sort of crafted it. Even though it was his version, I was allowed to kind of put my own little things in it. And I'm going to do one new production next season, hopefully. And basically the answer is, if it's a new production, usually you have a dialogue with the director. If it's a revival, you probably have less. And also, like, for example, in the Kosky, Barry Kosky one, which is all video projection, and you're basically just standing there with your face, like, you don't do anything. It's literally just your face. There's only so much you can really do with that. Then it's very pantomime, and you just have to kind of go along with that. So yeah, it kind of depends.
But luckily, the one we're about to hear is just you making all your own choices.
Oh, yeah.
So shall we say goodbye to everyone? Thank everyone for being on. Thank you to all our wonderful guests.
Absolutely. Thank you, Julia, for hanging out with us. Appreciate it. And so I'm very sorry for leaving you silent at the start.
That's okay. Like, I always thought I should be a silent.
If all it was is just that Spike was being very aggressive and was saying some really nasty things to everybody, and I thought it was just best to just leave him off for just a minute. That was why.
That's fine.
But anyway, thanks so much for joining us, Julia. Really appreciate it. Cheers. Thank you. And so that's it. That's the end of our what number is this now, Jan? 4, 5?
This is number 4, I think. And it's not the end, because there's still one more number to go.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. But, as tradition dictates, the last scene that Jan is in, I forget to put the microphone on.
You'd think it would be that predictable, and then you could just choose not to mute me. But there we are.
But I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure we'll all be fine. Anyway, thanks all very much for joining us. We have one more aria, of course, from Julia to go. But we'd like to thank you all for coming and joining us and watching our stream live, watching it after the fact, watching our previous streams, and supporting all of the amazing artists during this very difficult time for them. As we mentioned at the beginning of this stream, we are, of course, working with a Patreon sort of subscription system. It's £2 a month if you can, to help us develop more opportunities and more recordings and events for performers who are otherwise a little bit stuck in the mud at the moment. It costs less than a posh coffee, and it could all be. And every single week, if we get enough Patreons, I promise you, I will put your names across the little runner on the top instead of what I've got there, and your name can be live on the internet every second Monday, I believe it is. So thanks again. Thank you already to those who have already been starting. Think of the glory. Think of the radiance. But of course, with thanks to those who have already started subscribing on our Patreon account. We really appreciate it, and it makes a big difference for us going forward. If you are interested in being involved in Full Stream Ahead going forward, get in touch. You drop us a message either on either on YouTube or on the Facebook group or on Twitter or on Instagram or on everything, because we're young and cool and hip and that's what we do. But do get in touch. We'd love to involve more people that we don't know personally. We'd love to get to know even more people who are doing amazing things. So I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to hand it over to Jan so that he can talk for a bit, because that's how this works.
I'm not going to talk very long. Everyone's waiting for Queen of the Night. I'm just going to say that in 2 weeks' time, it's cabaret time. We're going to have all that malarkey on, and you are going to laugh. I've been editing their stuff, and it is hilarious.
Yeah,
so join us in 2 weeks. But for now, it's goodbye from us. Thank you to everyone who
we must of course thank all of the ensembles and pianists.
Yes, we must thank, I've got a list here. Will Van, Nico de Villiers, Gamal Kamis, Leslie Ann Salmons, Chad Vindin, Luteus Choir and Southern Sinfonia. Oh my God, so many people on our little stream.
A round of applause.
Woo!
And of course, all of you guys for watching tonight, thank you so much for coming. And we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Take care. Look after yourselves, wear a mask, and wash your hands. Bye!
Thank you.